Brothers, cut the dang music. Cut the music. What's up, brothers? Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are trying to enjoy your weekend. What do we got? Oh, we got the McGregor fight tonight. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to go to the gym after the stream. I'm going to come back and eat a Noosa blueberry yogurt. I am going to do some business stuff. I might play some Call of Duty. I haven't actually played Call of Duty in the longest time. You know, the games keep getting worse. We hope that Modern Warfare 4 is a good fucking game. And but then later on, I'm going over Jill's and we are having a UFC slumber party. And we're going to watch McGregor hopefully win. He looks good. He's gotten through a lot of BS in his history, a lot of legal trouble. I mean, the guy broke his, tibia and fibia. He broke like two of his shin bones. And that's like the hardest thing to come back from. And he's fighting a guy in Max Holloway who has not been out for any degree of time. Max has only been fighting and has stayed active and fucking knocked out Justin Gaethje, who's like the lightweight champ. So it's going to be a hard fight, dude. All we can hope for is that Conor has cardio and can last. Because if he can last, the rest of it is easy. It's already pretty much taken care of. Conor is the best striker, in my opinion, in the history of the UFC. So if he lasts and his cardio is good and he doesn't gas out, it'll be a great fucking fight, and Conor's almost definitely going to win. Can't wait. I'm going to be so nervous when they're coming out. Conor's doing the walk. The fight's about. I'm literally going to be fucking nervous, like on Jill's couch tonight, watching it. Nervous. Can't wait, brothers. All right, let's talk about a couple things before we get some folks in here. Number one, you know, I often get questions like that assume that some esters are better. Let's just like break it down to the clearest example. And folks will say, you know, is test enanthate better than testosterone cypionate? And the answer is no. It's not better. It just offers a different pharmacokinetic profile. It behaves differently in your blood. It behaves differently after you inject it, I should say, in that it peaks faster, peaks a little higher, and troughs sooner. And as I broke down on a recent piece of content, I honestly think that the best frequency for testosterone enanthate is every 5th day. Yeah. It is very similar to testosterone cypionates every 7th day. That's what, you know, people confuse it and think, okay, it's better. That's what makes it like better in their minds, is that they don't have to wait a week to inject it again. Ideally, you can inject it every 5th day because it's already coming down in a trough. And the pharmacokinetic profile of it matches cypionates every 7th day. So if you dose test enanthate every 5th day, it's just like dosing testosterone cypionate every 7th day. It's pretty much the same thing. So it doesn't mean it's better. It just means if you don't want to wait every 7 days to inject, like you're trying to go on a gapped out frequency, higher dose injection protocol, just use testosterone enanthate and inject every 5th day. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a great time. You will not stay steady state. You will peak pretty high and you will trough back down, not substantially low, but low enough to not accumulate the estrogen at the tissues and not continue to just crush your SHBG, which you would do on more frequent injections, and then you end up in a better place in terms of sexual function. Would I choose one over the other? Not really. I mean, I like injecting generally less frequently and like larger amounts of testosterone, at least now that I'm off of cream. I've gone back on anabolic doses of test, and I fucking love it. I feel great at the gym. My pumps are insane. I'm growing again after pretty much a hiatus and muscle stimulus, so I'm feeling good about it, but, you know, I guess fucking we'll see. Whatever, brothers. Let's talk about HCG and its side effects. TRT side effects. Look, there is a laundry list of side effects that people report on the forums regarding TRT. Excessive water retention, breathlessness, anxiety. Some of the really, really nefarious ones, a lot of those side effects are just due to HCG. I really want people to know that. You know, I get these guys coming to me and they're like, I'm not going to be able to tolerate 200 milligrams a week or 150, you know, every 6th day or 7th day or 5th day. I can't dose that much testosterone. I'm going to be bloated. I'm going to be an anxious mess and I won't be able to sleep. I'm going to have this side effect and that side effect and that side effect. And when I go through their history, When they've dosed higher end doses of testosterone, we find out what else was in the protocol. And it was HCG. It was HCG. 300 IU every day, 300 IU every other day, 500 IU 3 times a week. Listen, I am a proponent of the use of HCG. Not everyone has to use it, but most people should. If you can't dial it in and you've done literally everything, okay, fine. Try giving it a go without it. Some men don't need it. You will get testicular shrinkage and there will be cosmetic differences that you might not love. But if it takes for you to kill HCG to dial in, totally fine. But a lot of the side effects that are coming from people dosing, moderately high doses of testosterone combined with HCG isn't the high testosterone. It's not the high testosterone. It is the HCG. HCG, for whatever reasons, causes side effects in people, in some people. Not everybody, but just in some people. The most predominant plausible reason that HCG does this is it's just estrogenic. It's just estrogenic. I guarantee you this. Some of the side effects that you might have on TRT that you attribute to test itself, or maybe you've figured out you've attributed it to HCG, cease uses of the HCG, and go get yourself some injectable estradiol, right? You can use the source list for that if you really want to test this. Go get injectable estradiol, estradiol valerate, or if your woman is on HRT, use her estradiol cream or estradiol patches, and take some exogenous estradiol. And I guarantee you that the side effects that you're having that you're attributing to test and that you're attributing to HCG in these cases, you're going to get them by just taking estradiol, which means the side effects that come about on TRT, the side effects that come about when taking HCG in a dose that's too high for you and a frequency that's too put together are estrogen-driven side effects. Estrogen-driven side effects. Watch, you take the exogenous estradiol, your anxiety is going to go up. You take the exogenous estradiol, you're probably going to have erectile dysfunction or otherwise sexual dysfunction. Your libido might increase, but your Johnson might say no. You take the estradiol, you're going to bloat up. You take the estradiol, you're going to have head pressure. You take the estradiol, you might end up getting fucking lightheaded. Dude, HCG, it definitely can cause side effects in people, but it is not because HCG is doing some weird thing that we don't know about. We actually know all there is to know about HCG. There are countless big, long papers on HCG, and we've all been using it for years. What it does is stimulate the production of light excel estradiol, as well as making you make more estradiol from the test that it's making. Okay, so if you got if you got side effects on high dose TRT, but you have HCG in it, consider reducing that HCG dose. Again, people are going to find you need far less HCG than you think. It's something that I've been learning over the last couple of years, and I've seen a lot in coaching, employed it, and we have a lot of success in protocol formulation, like getting people dialed in that haven't been dialed in. I've never been dialed in, but they've never lower dosed HCG. They've always had it at 500 IU a few times a week. They're trying to remain fertile. You're still going to be fertile. You're still going to have functional testicles with lower dose HCG. So please keep this in mind, all right? Please keep that in mind. And if you ever want to test what the side effects are that you're getting from TRT and HCG together, just go dose some estradiol, and you will find the same side effects come about. All right, let's get to questions and kick this off. Hey, Ryan, brand of vitamin B1. I have to look at Amazon and see which the one that I just got. It's TTFD, so it's like tetrahydro, whatever the hell that is. Let me look at my orders and see if I can find it. It's just much more kind of bioavailable. I don't need to do that. Version of vitamin B1 that just works really well. Okay, I'm using Objective Nutrients Thiamax. Objective Nutrients Thiamax. It's a TTFD supplement. It's purely TTFD with, I believe, a very little bit of magnesium. Yeah, it's 8 milligrams of magnesium and 100 milligrams of TTFD. Yep, that's what I use. And I fucking love the stuff, honestly. Love it. Makes me feel good. I feel like I digest food better. There's got to be some scientific connection there. And It enhances glucose metabolism. If someone wants more anabolic effects while using testosterone cream, would Anavar solve that? Yes, definitely. Yeah. Or would a hybrid protocol such as adding either would, but I mean, look, Anavar is a lot more anabolic than testosterone is. So, yeah, if you just you ran an Anavar cycle of between 10 and call it 25 milligrams a day for 3 months, you would have some significant anabolism. It's one of the things I've talked about before. I mean, sometimes on cream, you got to go low so that, you got the right ratios of DHT to estradiol. And because cream is super stimulating, some people respond in a way which like makes them feel like they've drank a few fucking espressos on top of taking some nootropics. So it's like way too much energy. And it peaks the moment you put, you put it on. Hours later, you're peaking. You start peaking right away, and you just continue to fucking peak, so it can be strong. So in those cases, adding Anavar for anabolism is useful. Adding Anavar for anabolism, if you find that you perform better sexually on lower doses of test, you can dial in on higher doses of test. There's just strategy that you have to employ in order to make that happen. Take Anavar. You will be a lot more anabolic. When do I see the need to execute a daily stable cypionate base with a prop hybrid given androgen pulses, protocol 7 in the playbook? That need is again when you've got to be down at the lower end doses of testosterone because estradiol really bothers you. The increases in estradiol really mess with sexual function. They mess specifically with erectile function. They give you otherwise side effects. But you're lacking the DHT down there, and you're also lacking pulsality. One of the reasons that people on daily injections do not have good at anything, besides some anabolism, is because they're lacking pulsality. They do not have any substantial peak, which creates contrast. Their body gets basically sensitized to the response of the daily injection. It's like there is no peak trough. There's nothing. Like, again, I implore people to try, if you've been doing daily injections, and especially if they're failing in terms of libido and erections and stuff, and anabolism as well, I implore people to try to work their way up to dosing 150 to 200 at a time. And believe me, like the first injection, you'll notice a difference. Now, if you have some leftover cypionate or enanthate or whatever, like you might mess up your ratios via estrogen going too high in the beginning. But once you let that balance out, and you just fucking pin 150, 200, or 250, like, first of all, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night at peak, like day 3 or so, with fucking an erection that won't go down. Like, it's just, and you're going to be like, holy fuck, like, this is it. Like, this is what it's doing. Guys suffering from mild venous leakage, which a lot of people are. I've seen a lot of the people that come to me with erection issues, it's a venous leak problem. Dose enough testosterone, you get rid of the venous leak. So, people, this is a long-winded way of saying sometimes people need peaks. They need something stable like this, and then you peak. You'll see this all the time if you look in your history, right? If you went down to call it 20 milligrams a day of testosterone cypionate and you were injecting sub-Q or whatever, IM or sub-Q, and you had lukewarm everything, and then suddenly you injected 50 milligrams, you just decided from that lower end baseline to inject a little more, you have erections for 2-3 days. Like, erections are great, libido is great, they get this fucking boost in everything. It's because your body needed that contrast. It needed a peak. It needs pulsality. A lot of people are like that. So you can't just look at this a lot of people's advice to inject daily and think that it's going to necessarily apply to you, right? A lot of the argument for daily injections is, okay, well, if you want the max amount of a drug in your system, considering its half-life with cypionate, inject it daily. Because in fact, you will have the max amount of the drug continuously in your system. All right. And therefore giving, quote, therapeutic benefits. But testosterone estradiol or DHT estradiol ratio doesn't work that way. Sexual function doesn't work that way. We actually peak and trough for a reason, many reasons, but some of it has to do with sexual function. So that we don't overlap in estrogen specifically. We're not crushing our SHBG in the ground, and our body isn't getting the signal that, hey, we've got too much androgens. That's what happens when you continuously fucking pin. Just continuously fucking pinning, man. Not a great idea, brothers. Not a great idea. Sorry, I'm a little confused. My chat keeps going to Kansas. It's just like disappearing, and I've got to keep refreshing it. Have I seen much of a need for DHEA in a protocol recently? It's not that it's necessary. It's that it does help with erections, and it can produce some extra DHT when you may not be getting it otherwise. You know, there's plenty of ways to avoid taking DHEA, not the least of which is just to run your blood, see where it is, and take a little HCG, you know? Take a little HCG. The problem with DHEA that people run into, which makes them think it's a bad compound to take, is they take too much of it. People are running 50, 75 milligrams. In no world do you need that much DHEA unless you are a natty that is trying to increase testosterone naturally, you know, and in which case it would work. You don't need to dose it much really high on TRT, and for a lot of folks, they don't need to dose it. I just have seen it be useful in balancing out the neurosteroidal aspects of libido and aiding in erections. It's a very cool compound. New Boy Fitz says, I can run 750 IU to 1500 IU per week if I'm relatively low dose test. Right. But on higher doses, it's 12 billion estradiol. Completely omitted it during. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where I'm at with it right now. I dose like 100 IU once a week, you know, basically when I feel the testicles start shrinking and sensation libido might go down a little bit. And I don't really like the cosmetic outcome of shrunken testicles. It just doesn't fucking make sense. But now, I mean, I'm on 250 a week. That's what I'm running. I made the switch like I said I was going to switch to once a week. I'm just pinning 250 once every 7 days. And so doing that, my estrogen definitely peaks, you know, pretty high. It troughs back down toward the latter end of the injection period. But I can't tolerate a lot of HCG. But guess what? When I was down at 105 milligrams a week of tescipionate, I could dose 330 IU of HCG. When I was low dosing test cream, like just getting enough, but still skyrocketing fucking DHT, I could dose 330 IU of HCG every day. Now I couldn't even touch near that. I'd have to be side effect fucking city. I would feel like a woman. I would feel emotional. I would have side effects. I would have like fatigue. I would get all kinds of shit. I can't dose that much HCG when the test is high. So it opens up a strategy that I think works for a lot of people, which is just higher dosing test and lower dosing HCG. Ginger ale break. Boy, I love that stuff. Silver Spring says TTFD, which is bioavailable B1, is strong as F. Go easy, folks. Yeah, I mean, I just take a singular capsule. I've never had any side effects on it, so I don't know what you're referring to, but it is powerful shit, dude. It is powerful shit. I mean, B1 is a very amazing vitamin to be making sure you have enough of. And TTFD is a pretty awesome version of it. There's actually dudes on the web that like have whole channels that talk about the benefits of taking bioavailable vitamin B1. Shit's powerful, man. Cream plus prop plus HCG was the ultimate energy and libido protocol, but the acne was insane. Yeah, libido 12 and 10, climaxes were great, acne was crazy. Yeah, that's just unfortunate, you know. I mean, cream has the ability to do that mostly via the very rapid changes in everything. You know, that's really what does it, is that shit, your hormones go like this really rapidly. They peak and they trough really, really rapidly. And that is the fastest way to get acne, is to have your shit just going like this. That acne causes that, you know? So at the same time, like loads of testosterone and loads of DHT and loads of estradiol will cause that as well. I had it on cycle of 500 a week, and it sucked. At 250 a week, though, I have next to no acne. I always have a very little bit of baseline in the middle of my back that's really never gone away. The rest of it, like on my shoulders, has gone away. I had it in the beginning of TRT, like most people do. I just don't have it anymore. And that happens for people. You know, washing with salicylic acid, all that stuff, it doesn't really do a whole lot. You know, you've just got to. My opinion is you probably, you know, if that protocol worked for you, stick with the acne. It will eventually go away, but your body has to like burn out that sebaceous gland prominence. I don't really know. But I don't know the mechanism for which over time acne goes away, but it does for folks. It does. Can DHE increase DHT production in penile tissues? Yes, that's what the literature tells us. That's one of the reasons it's a good thing to take. It helps you convert TAS to DHT in sex organs. Megatron Nemo. So running that prop on top of daily cypionate can be good enough to give pulses, but still give a stable baseline with cypionate. My estrogen has just been super volatile and needs stable pulses. Yeah, definitely. It's not a bad idea. Hybrid protocols work for that very reason. In fact, that's the only reason to employ a hybrid protocol is, you're down on lower ends doses of tests and you might feel relatively okay on that, but you'd like a peak and trough with a stable baseline. It's just one way to skin the cat. There's many ways to skin that cat. That's just one way to skin the cat. World Cup, are you mad? You should be watching that. Should I be watching that? Why should I be watching that? I'm going to watch the UFC fights. You should be watching the UFC fights, bro. I'm not mad. No. I drove through World Cup traffic, though, going to Atlantic City recently. Any suggestion for a high aromatizer? Leaner body shape, good thyroid, and good insulin on bloods. Right. See, I guess this pretty much nullifies the idea that, your thyroid hormones being low is the sole reason for your over aromatization. Sometimes people aromatize due to genetic reasons. Sometimes it's just the TAS. It's just the frequency. It's the HCG. It's a lot of things. I think that, first of all, how do you know you're over aromatizing? Because your estradiol was 61. TAS was 900. Yeah, I'd say that's over. Yeah, that's a little too high. It's a lot higher than it should be, frankly. If you're lean, it's a hard one. I honestly don't know. If you want to give yourself a break in estradiol, then inject every 7 days. With Enanthate, every 5 to 6 days. And then you're going to get a good trough. So you will notice less of the estrogenic effects at the tissues, right? You'll notice less of the estrogenic effects in general because that's where it's really affecting you at penile tissue, at brain tissue, and otherwise. So if you just gap out your injections, you'll notice less estrogenic side effects for sure. It's just a simple way to fix that problem. Do I find that longer-term exposure to higher doses tends to help guys push those doses higher over time with less side effects? Yes, absolutely. Again, I'll always come back to my progression on test. I got insomnia at 170 a week and nervousness and anxiety pinning 52 milligrams at once in the beginning. Over time, I got to the point last July where I ran 560 milligrams of test a week. I was fine. Now I'm running 250. I inject that every 7 days. I'm fucking fine. I feel great. I have no side effects, dude. None. Nothing. Literally nothing but ragers that are even fucking harder in the middle of the night. That's all. And for most of the effect duration window, my libido is off the charts. That's pretty much it. So yeah, over time, that's just what happens. Look at guys like Chase Irons, right? If you don't know who Chase Irons, you should probably go follow him on YouTube, especially if you're in your anabolic doses of test and running gear and shit like that. The guy runs grams of test at a time, but started running TRT and then moving TRT up and running cycles of other shit and then 500 tests and 700 tests and grams of test. Guy runs grams of test, on and off. No acne, no side. It just feels great. Again, it just takes time for your body to acclimate to those higher doses. For you also to stop fucking with your protocol. People will try the higher dose. They get some side effect oh shit, I got to back off from that. And then they never consistently do it to their, point their body gets used to it. Yeah, with cypionate, it doesn't work like you think it works. If you want something to have an effect and you realize where you're at and be able to change it if you don't like it in 3 days, then dose phenylpropionate or prop or test suspension, or even cream. You can do that with those because they're fast acting and they leave your body quicker. With cypionate, the shit takes time for you to even notice where you're at. So push the higher doses, give it time. Run some L-theanine, it's a calming amino acid if you are anxious. Do some meditation. Make sure you're doing cardio. Like I think a lot of the people's side effects can be, if they just jogged on the treadmill every day or every other day, a lot of those side effects would go away. Right? You're increasing GABAergic transmission in the brain by doing that. So yeah, as you push higher doses over time, you get used to it. Yep, you get used to it. Again, I have zero side effects to pinning fucking 250 of test once every 7 days. Zero. Not on peak. I would call day of injection, day after, and probably day after that. Like I'm certainly a little more aggressive. I can sense that I am more androgenic. That's what you'd expect. Do I think 50 to 75 IU HCG daily is enough for a daily sip protocol? Yeah, I think that's probably a little too much. I think 50 to 75 every other day would probably be better. On a daily sipping protocol, you're already overlapping estradiol. That would be fine if the dose is fine, right? The doses just have to be managed for what you're doing. But I think that dose every other day of HCG would be better. Jonathan, face bloats like a balloon after 3 HCG injections. 250 IU shot. E2 also up there on 125 tests a week. You might just need to kill it or dramatically lower it. 250 IU is rarely needed unless you are very concerned about fertility. Otherwise, it's rarely needed. You don't need a dose that much. Again, I learned that you could dose 60 to 100 IU of HCG once or twice a week and maintain the same benefits, the same subjective benefits, I'll say. Because if you measure fertility and stuff, it probably dropped to some extent, but still be there. But the same objective benefits as if you're dosing 250 IU 3 times a week. But no estrogenic side effects. No weird fucking side effects. Yeah. You should reduce that, On 125 a week of test, you really don't even have a need to dose 750 IU of HCG a week. 250 every... well, I don't know what you're dosing in total, but yeah, you don't have to dose that much HCG at a time. Try dosing like 70 to 100 IU, 60 IU. What do I think about Lugol's iodine, such as iodoral high dose iodine is quite controversial. Yeah, well, useful until the point it causes side effects. Yeah, iodine can actually suppress your thyroid function if you take too much of it. So be careful. Don't be like those people on the web that are like, take loads of Lugol's iodine and you'll cure your whatever. Like it's largely bullshit, and your body's really not meant to deal with loads of iodine. You can take. I would microdose it and get the benefits of iodine, but don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Christopher, do I think transcranial cream is easier to dial in, also worth a daily application versus injections? It really all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Everything is easy to dial in if you know how to dial it in. Everything. But transcranial cream gives people kind of a shortcut to dialing in because you can change it a lot quicker. You can change it after a week. If you don't really like what's happening, you can change it and your body will adjust and you'll be to the new steady state within about 7 days after you change it. Regarding the thing I didn't like, so let's talk about ease of use and shit. The thing I really didn't like with cream and that I don't really love with cream is that I would have to either take a shower before I put it on, and that would be my shower for the first part of the day. I usually take 2 or 3 showers a fucking day. Or I would have to not shower in the morning, which I don't like. I very much like waking up, having coffee, showering, and then getting, going for the day. I would have to not shower and then put the cream on and then go to the gym, not shower, which I really don't like. And then I would shower when I get home. So that's the only pain in the butt for me, is just like moving showers around it. Sex to an extent you got to pay attention to. If you just put it on and then you're having sex with your partner like fucking 30 minutes later, probably going to be some transference. Now, will it be consequential? Probably not. I think people overstate that, but yeah, it can become inconvenient in that regard. It certainly can. It certainly can, brother. Should SHBG be taken into account when determining frequency? Yes, I think you should at least consider it. Minus 14, I feel the trough at the end of every 3.5 days with test E. Would every other day be better or up the dose? Here's something that people get confused. there is no proof whatsoever that injecting more frequently is going to help keep your SHBG from falling. But there is logic to assume that dosing more frequently lowers SHBG. Lowers it. Go measure your SHBG, bro. Like on daily injections versus once a week injections. You're going to find that when you inject less frequently, the SHBG actually goes up a little bit, despite the fact that you're bolusing 150 or 200 at once. Yeah, the reason SHBG goes down is because you've got too much consistent androgens. That's why it goes down. So transport of those androgens to your tissues goes down. You're binding to the SHBG via consistent DHT. That's why it lowers. You gap out your injections, the SHBG isn't constantly crushed. Yeah, I would, if I were you, I would just, if you can't, on every 3.5 days, if you feel that trough pretty crappy, you have to increase your dose on that, first of all. But secondly, increase that dose and compensate for like an every 5th or 7th day. With Enanthate, every 5th day is, in my opinion, the best injection frequency. If you're using, you're using Testy. So just do that, man. Heavy fluctuation is what kills me acne-wise. 500 milligrams sip 3 times a week and 0 acne issues. Yeah, I enjoy cycle level animals. I'm looking forward to being off. Don't see myself doing it again. Yeah, the animalism up there is pretty fucking awesome. On that much test, fluctuations are going to cause it because that's a pretty high peak and trough, right? It's different than TRT doses like 200 milligrams a week or 150 a week. That's very different. So, I mean, you're going to peak up to 2,500 and then back down to, 1,500 or something like that. It's a pretty big peak and trough, dude. That's what causes acne more than anything. Wild fluctuations. Okay. Not regular TRT-based fluctuations. Like if you do 200 a week, that's not a wild fluctuation. Go plot it. You peak at maybe 1,400 to 1,700 and you drop back down to 900 to 1,200. It's not wild. But doing shit like 400 milligrams every 2 weeks, you'd have more acne. 500 milligrams once a week, you'd probably have more acne. Also, the amount of tests that you have right now, you're gonna have acne either way. Your body's primed to create acne from that. Oh. $120 a week gave new boy Fitz panic attacks when I first started. Now I can inject $120 per pin and feel nothing. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Again, for me, same thing. I had insomnia. Like I would eventually get to sleep at 1 a.m. I was like, fuck, dude. My body is tired. I need to go to sleep. Like the schedule's already getting jacked up for tomorrow, but I can't go to sleep. And then finally I went to sleep. Now I pin fucking 250 at once and sleep great every night. Every night, bro. Dude, like most nights, Jill's like giving me a massage. Like I lay in her lap and she'll rub my head and my shoulders and I fucking fall asleep. I should fall asleep. And then some nights where she doesn't feel like doing it, we just fall asleep. We wake up at 7, between 6:30 and 7, and we're asleep by 11. But, the 250 a test that I just pinned Tuesday doesn't affect my sleep, man. Starting back with Cipinate, wanted test D, doc won't prescribe it. That sucks. You might need to go UGL for that. Only will give 100 milligrams per week to start. That's another reason you might want to go UGL. Listen, I worked with Defy Medical for a long time, but they have regulations and they also have what I think are annoying check-ins to facilitate revenue where, they've got to not only look at your blood, but you've got to book consultations with their people. They don't really care if you're dialed in. They're not even going to ask you about that kind of stuff. They don't care. They're too busy of a company. They're just making some extra money via doing another consultation, a consultation every 6 months. And then you got to get a physical every 6 months. And then you got to continue to do blood work. Blood work is good to get. But, for me, I just went pure UGL, like one of the best sources on Source List. And that's where I get my test. I just literally got like 7 new vials of test Cipinate and some other shit. And I don't use a clinic right now, and I'm really happy because of this kind of shit. Like there's limitations there. What if you need to dose higher? What if you need to take some Proviron? You know, what if you want to experiment with like that prop protocol that like revives dead libidos that I've seen over the years of 100 milligrams every third day? What if you want to do that? Well, then you're peaking at 2,000. Your clinic's gonna be like, what the fuck's going on? You know, they want to manage your life like you're a child. And sometimes you just need to do the shit yourself. Yeah. Every 5th day is if you inject on a Sunday, you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5th day is the next injection. You know, I always hear about roid rage, but magically in AI, every time I feel ragey, puts me into a stoic, well-balanced, locked-in mode. Yeah, it's largely estradiol. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that will tell you that too. I mean, this is a very common thing that people say, you know, that roid rage is really just estradiol rage, you know, it really just is. Dude, you'd be surprised how much estradiol fucks with your neurological state, right? Your well-being, your mental state. Like Jill, she's on HRT. Both estradiol and TRT for girls, but she cycled off of TRT recently and she's going to be going back on. But dialing in her estrogen dose was a little tumultuous because when, you know, the dose was too high for her, she was like doomy and gloomy on steroids. She was like doomy and gloomy times 10. Everything sucked to her. She was fucking oscillating between being mad and being sad and thinking nothing is good. It was the weird, and our life is like great. Like we have a lot of fucking fun every day and things were like great. But she does have some things going on in her life, you know, outside of me that like weren't the best of the time. And some of the shit is still ongoing, but she, you know, if the estrogen isn't fucking with her, i.e. it's way too high, she handles it greatly. But when, you know, when in trying to dial in her HRT dose for estradiol, the dose is too high, she was in a bad place. So estrogen really fucks with your mental state, man. It can. You know, there are people out there that are like, not necessarily telling you to do it, but saying, hey, they inject estradiol every day. For one reason or another, they're not getting side effects. Most of us do. It's not a hormone we were ever built to have in high quantities. But it's just not. I don't think there's any debating that. There's been more conversation around Enanthate versus Cypionate. Many say they're interchangeable. No, it's definitely not interchangeable, but some swear E is better. Or C is better. What's your experience for you? My experience is that neither are better. It's just that with testosterone and Enanthate, what you're getting is a faster peak. So you're almost feeling your testosterone more. And look, that profile of test raising might feel better. It might actually feel better, and you would then classify that ester as better. The same applies to test prop. Okay? If you dose 30 a prop a day, or you're dosing 60 every other day, or, you know, you dosed 100 every third day, that peak feels way better than your Cypionate peak. You know, not way better, but noticeably better. It's fucking amazing, dude. You just feel heavily dopaminergic, very, very energized, very good. You know, the erections of the libido is usually off the charts, and it happens a lot quicker. Maybe your body is just doesn't do well with this pharmacokinetic profile. It does much better with this pharmacokinetic profile, like just faster. Everything's faster. That's just it. Chase is off the sauce, dropped weight. It looks like he has muscle wasting disease by comparison. I haven't fucking been up on Chase. That sucks, man. I wonder why he decided to do that. Maybe health complications, don't really know. I haven't found his channel yet. Why am I not finding his channel? Why is his channel not first? Did he get banned? Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see his channel anymore. That is weird. I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're off, if you're on loads of past and then you go off of it, then certainly you're going to look different. But I don't see his channel, which worries me. I don't know why I don't see his channel anymore. Also, is test E better than SIP? I already answered that question. No. Okay, got it. Dr. Todd Lee. I forget who that guy is. Is that the Man Medicine guy? I actually forget. Tells people not to use SHBG lowering drugs and pin every day instead. He says providers are useless for that reason if you pin daily. I don't really understand what he's saying here. He tells people to pin every day. You can't tell everyone to do anything. You have to figure out what works for them. Surely he knows that. I took your advice and went 65 units of Cypionate every fourth day. After 2 weeks, I noticed improvement. Thanks. Now Cypionate, Enanthate, or Perpinate, which is best bang for your buck. Again, they're all good. It depends on what you want. If you want a fast, swift peak, use prop. You can dial that in too. It does come with some post-injection pain that you're going to have to fucking learn to tolerate. Cypionate, Enanthate, largely similar, but again, Enanthate peaks quicker, troughs sooner. And, you can inject it every fourth or fifth day instead of injecting it once a week to get the best results. But this is great. I mean, this is case in point. Again, just guys having problems on daily injections where, the libido, the erections are not there. You start injecting more testosterone at once, your results change. Like, it's very easy. It's not that more test is better. It's that more test at once is better to an extent. Like, there's a point at which you're going to go over. You're going to need to take aromasin or an astrazole to control the estradiol, or you're going to have ED. And, it is what it is. But if you find that middle ground where you're able to dose lots of testosterone at one time, but you're able to trough, you can tolerate more. Again, I'm doing 250 a week. I've run sports TRT at 300. There I needed an AI, but I was doing it, I think, every 3.5 days injections. Now doing once a week 250. I don't need estrogen control. Like, a little zinc here and there just kind of keeps it in balance. I take that with a multi. I'm not constantly aromatizing. But the difference is, like, on my 50 milligrams every other day, things were good, right? Libido good, erections good, nocturnals, not all nights, but some nights. But now on 250 once a week, the nocturnals are there like all night. I mean, almost all night. I'm waking up and I just have a fucking raging erection. And I like that. I like that. The rigidity in erections for sex is more. Again, fine down there at 50 every other day for me personally. Good. But now it feels like I'm running fucking Cialis plus vardenafil. Like, it's just, they're just stronger because there's more androgens, right? There's more DHT. Dust 10 DND, running 150 milligrams every day. All right, among other compounds, a decent benzyl peroxide wash is enough to manage acne for me. Yeah, so if that's working for you, that's working for you, man. 150 every day. What's that? 735. It's 1,000, roughly a gram a week. Is that what you're on? I bet you will fucking grow, brother. I bet you will grow. Hypogonadism should be put up there with stress as a silent killer. Yeah, totally. It's taking your essence away as a man. You need to have your testosterone levels up there, man. So starting TRT, I've lost 50 pounds, sleep like a rock. I've had insomnia before. My energy is amazing. I actually feel alive. Fucking totally, bro. Totally. Yeah, I'll never go back to not dosing TRT. I'll just never do it. And in my early 30s, I considered going on, but I tried staying natural for the longest time, and that was dumb. It was a mistake. I should have just went on TRT. But the way that I feel now as a 42-year-old man, like, I have energy all day long, all day, all day, and I just feel fucking great. But all the other stuff is better too. My libido, my erections, my anabolism is obviously better. It's awesome. It's awesome. Female TRT is wild. I talked to one woman doing 26. Yeah, that's a lot. And she was jacked and very solid. 26 milligrams a week is barely even rounding an error for me. Yeah, they are much more sensitive to it than we are, obviously. Like, they don't require a lot of tests. So, like, dosing, like, if you want a good test dose for a woman, it's about 12 milligrams a week. Either split it up every 3.5 days or do every 7 days of the whole thing. Some women are under responders or hypo responders to TRT, so they might need to push 15 to 20 milligrams a week. But any more than that, you're running both the risk of clitoral enlargement and voice deepening. And the voice deepening part, you really can't reverse that, so it's prudent to be careful there. But yeah, the thing that so my girlfriend runs TRT, just girl TRT, very base level. And the thing that happened to her was her body, she's already a good looking chick with a great body, but her body became more massy, which is always good. and her libido became more aggressive. She has the highest libido, like of a woman that I've ever fucking been with, which is great. But her libido became more aggressive, became more noticeably aggressive, even though it was already fucking high. So Chase got banned. That's terrible. That is just so stupid, right? Because there's guys like Dr. James who've been talking about steroids for forever, and they're still on YouTube. Why? What? They all should be on YouTube. They're just talking about what they're doing. That sucks. That just sucks. Why is he banned? For what? I hate that. I hate that, dude. Chris Garassi started a new protocol of 300 milligrams of Test-E injected once every 8 days. Hey, great. I'm curious your thoughts on how different that may feel from 150 every fourth day. Well, major peak there. Major peak. Now, if you're doing it every 8 days, you're going to get a major trough as well. Curious of what that looks like on steroid plotter. Let's see what that looks like here, boys. What is it? 300 of Test-E. Every 8 days, you said? Every 8 days? I mean, that's certainly pretty interesting. Let me see if I can at least show you guys what I'm looking at. The window cap. Steroid plotter. Take the camera down. Yeah, that's what that looks like. That's what that is there. So you're 300 milligrams Test-E every 8 days. You peak at 2,000. Pretty fucking awesome. You trough back down to 1086. So yeah, you're varying it's 1,000 nanogram per deciliter difference. 1,000 nanogram per deciliter difference, brother. Wow. So what was your question? What do I think of that protocol? How is it different than 150 every fourth day? Well, you just won't peak as high on 150 every fourth day. Yeah. Plot that out on steroid plotter. You'll see that the peak is not 2,000. It probably might be 1,500, something like that. And then you trough a very little bit on every fourth day with test Enanthate. You trough enough, but you trough a little bit. I think it's a cool protocol. I think it's the fact that you're dosing 300. It's a lot of tests, but you're gapping it out every 8 days is helping you. It's helping you as to not continue overlapping. And I don't know if you're running into estrogen problems or side effects or dick problems or whatever, but if you can try to avoid that, you do it by injecting less frequently. New to nootropics. I was interested in knowing if you can inject nootropics sub-Q or is it better to convert to a nasal spray? I believe you can inject certain nootropic things sub-Q, like L-carnitine. But not nothing else. It's much better to be doing nasal spray or just taking it orally. How long have I been on 250 a week? Between 270. I was running 266 because I was doing 150 every fourth day. But between 250 and 270 for almost 3 months now. Almost 3 months. Yeah, like 2.5 months, 2 months and 2 months and 2 weeks, 2 months and almost 2 weeks, something like that. Would I get better E2 with prop every other day? Not necessarily. No, it's too general of a question too, man. It doesn't work that way. What do you think about SIP or Enanthate inject protocol? Wait, what? SIP or Enanthate inject on Monday and then next injection Thursday and then start over again. Yeah, the Monday, Thursday protocol works for people too because that second gap is a longer gap, right? Isn't it? Yeah, you're just injecting twice a week there because then on Thursday you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 3 days. And then Monday, that's the fourth day. And then Monday you inject and you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the third day. So yeah, it's that kind of architecture that does help people regarding estradiol. Like it just doesn't stay constantly elevated. All right, so we'll check out Chase Irons on Rumble because he got banned. Let me see if I can even find him. Yeah, there's Rumble. I can find his channel. Oh wow, he looks way smaller. Holy fuck, dude! No way. Why did he do that?
Have you started running your air conditioner yet?
What, brother? Ads are hard to control on Rumble, but yeah, you guys should go look at Chase Irons. He is way smaller. My God, I didn't think that going off the test would make him that small. He basically looks like like a natty. T. Lee is promoting low dose TRT every day and using Masteron as your anabolic driver. Todd Lee, he hates prop. He's definitely of the mass monster open bodybuilding camp, which is ass. I don't know. Anyone that says that everyone should do one thing, yeah, they should know better. People respond differently. Like, I admit that some people actually do better on daily injections because they have hematocrit and otherwise side effects, and they can dial in the libido and erections there too. It's just not common. Just not common. And when I say to people, hey, do less frequent injections, it's because they failed at daily injections. Their libido is nowhere to be found, and they have ED. So, it's just, you can't say that one thing applies to everyone. Like, I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I definitely do see more people responding to bolus as a test at once with time in between. You ran both. You like sip every 4th or 7th day better. I'm only a short period on every 7th day. This coming Tuesday will be the 3rd injection of that. So hard to tell. Physically, I feel pretty much the same, but on the 250 at once, the nocturnals are stronger and my erections are generally more rigid. Yeah. Again, doable and fine otherwise, but now it feels like I've taken PD5 inhibitors, and I haven't taken Cialis for like 6 months. Clitoral enlargement on low doses, but we don't get dong enlargement at mega doses. Injustice. Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, the weird thing is you definitely see changes in your penis if you go to higher doses of test as well, because it's more DHT. Yeah, you will. It's not that length increases, that you actually get to realize your full length when you've got enough androgens. That is true. So I run 10 milligrams or so of Masteron P, and it feels like I'm on the limitless drug sometimes. I love that. But is it sustainable? 10 milligrams? Probably. Yeah. I mean, that's just not a lot. It's not a lot at all. It's a baby microdose. And so I don't really see a problem with that. And that's cool. It just seems to affect you. This is what Proviron does for me. 25 milligrams of Proviron, and I feel like an animal. I feel really good. And I kind of feel like I'm on a nootropic. I love it. I just love Proviron. The one downside, it always makes sexual function either better or unchanged, but it nukes my hair. Like, I will have big patches in the top of my hair. It will thin. It will start to actually come out in the shower. It fucking nukes my hair, and I hate it. I've never tried injectable androsterone. Thanks for the live streams, brother. Learned a lot from you. We'll up the dose and extend the frequency if it's right for you. It's not right for everybody. But if you can get yourself to get used to that, you're going to have a great time. Jonah was injecting 30 milligrams every day, and trough total T was 1878. God. Well, that's 210 a week. Estrogen is 92. Is that a high total off 210? My only possible side is weaker erections. Yeah, that is because you have estrogen of 92. That is why your erections suck. Total test of 878 will provide a lot of DHT and give you good erections. At the same time, though, you don't peak at all. You just stay around there. If you're doing every day, you don't peak at all. You just stay there. And, your body does need that contrast in order for things to keep working well. Yeah, I would switch. I would totally switch. But to me, you're an over-responder is what I would say. I'd start at like 150 to 170 once every 5 to 7 days. And monitor, pick one monitor, run it for 5-6 weeks, see how you fare, decide what to do from there. That is what I would do. Are there some test booster supplements that still work for you? Not for me. Don't need to inject it. No, wouldn't take it. I was dosing Fedosia agrestis and pine pollen among some other things, and that was working until it stopped working for me as a natty. I got to the point where I just couldn't, I couldn't keep my natural test where I wanted it. I would just keep dropping back down. I'm like, all right, TRT it is, bro. Forgot to ask, best way to start on PT141, just inject it one day. Read a lot about it. I've done content on it, so search the channel and watch those videos and learn where to start. Start at a lower end dose so that you don't have nausea and facial flushing, because that can happen. And just monitor, what happens. I really don't like that stuff because I've used it, but it's like if I injected it, I don't know, 3 p.m. and going out to go on dates or prowl. It's like, I have no idea when it's going to onset. It could onset at 10 p.m. or it could onset at fucking 5 p.m. It just is not predictable. For test cream, is it better to put the cream on all that once in the morning or split it? It depends on how you respond to doing it in the morning or doing it broken up. Like if you put all of it in the morning, but at between 7 and 10 p.m. at night, you feel like dog shit, it's because you're troughing too much. So you probably want to dose a little bit in the evening too to maintain energy, as long as it doesn't put you in too steady of a state where you don't have good sexual function. Proviron is solid for me, but the Masteron P really kicked it up. I've been bald since 26 years. Yeah, so it's another thing to you. Yeah. I mean, it's a very DHT heavy thing, and I think ChatGPT thinks that Masteron is closest molecularly or biologically to DHT than anything. I kind of think it's Proviron. At least I feel like if I take DHT and I take Proviron, it's very similar. It's a very similar thing. Whereas Masteron felt a little different. How can I reconnect the mind and penis connection if my prolactin, DHT, and estrogen are in range? I'm also on HCG 500 IU 3x a week or crashable hormones for months. It's never been the same. If you have that problem, that is actually a problem relative to dopamine, but you can fix that with hormones. 500 IU HCG 3x weekly, and that's all you're taking, I assume. Well, you might not have enough of the dopaminergic input from that. Yeah, if I were you, I'd be dosing test and lower the HCG way, way down. Maybe dose a very little bit of it. And dose lots of test at once. That's the way you're going to force the upregulation of the enzymes that convert your tyrosine into L-DOPA and then, DOPA into dopamine ultimately. It's called tyrosine hydroxylase, and testosterone directly upregulates that enzyme. That's why when people dose prop, they get a dopaminergic effect. That's why when people dose larger doses of cypionate or Enanthate, they get a dopaminergic effect. And that is really responsible for the libido side of things. So if that mental, penis connection is down, it's dopamine. Most of that is dopamine, but, it's also androgens, estradiol, your ratios. If everything's in range here, it doesn't tell me a whole lot. I'd want to look at your ratios. I want to look at your history. I'd want to look at what happens if you pin 200 milligrams of test at once or 250, or maybe 150 and then you wait 4 days and you pin another 150. I'd want to see what happens there because I guarantee you that connection is going to come back if you have enough of everything, particularly dopamine. Yeah. Need that dopamine, brothers. Need it. You need it, brothers. Couple things, guys. Look, the TRT protocol audit is like a lower cost way to get on board with me at some capacity. You're actually going to get on the phone with me for the TRT protocol audit. For 25 minutes, we're going to discuss your protocol, and I'll audit everything and tell you what to do, what to change, so that you can go into your next iteration a lot more confident about how to dial in. Again, it's a lower level consult, so if you've got long-standing sexual dysfunction, may not be the absolute cure-all, but we will get you on the right track, and I'll tell you what to change. And I'm pretty sharp at giving one-off recommendations that just work. So you can go book that livecortex.com. That is brand new. It's very popular. A lot of people are booking that, so it just gets you on the call with me, and we get to talk. And I'll give you my undivided attention. For sexual function, look, the TRT sexual function consult, if you don't want to do long-term coaching, just get the TRT sexual function consult. I mean, this thing is second popular. A lot of people buy this because, again, they don't want hand holding. They'd like to go at it alone, but they need advice on what to do. In this one, we actually generate protocols for you. So I will do a deep analysis of your situation, your markers, your history, what profiles you are in terms of responses to TRT. Not only craft a targeted protocol for you, but craft follow-up adjustments that jive with your body. Go book that, livecortex.com. Guys, I just launched a sports TRT coaching package. This is for people that want to get more out of TRT. You want a high dose, but you don't want to lose your libido and erections. I have mastered that. Believe me when I tell you, I've mastered sexual function on high doses. It's something that took me a long time to figure out, but I've got it figured out now, and I put that in a consult. So if you want to do sports TRT and you want to actually do it right with the right architecture, you can book me and we'll create one. 3 and 6 month coaching are 50% off, so it's half of those prices right now. The code is 50 now. It's in the description. And then recently we just launched Performance Optimization Black. This will be literally 1% of you that do this. This is for hard charging men that are killers in life but want to 20x their energy and productivity. Every single biohacking chemical on the table, not just hormones, but peptides, nootropics, nutraceuticals, every tool, mitochondrial optimizers, everything I've learned in now 16 years of biohacking. You have me at your side for 6 straight months with that. Also, high dose TRT Mastery just launched. Go fucking grab that. Everybody's loving that. Able to actually get what they want from test with it. And, we got a bunch of other cool products. What would you say is the primary variable that causes discrepancies in how people respond to different dosing frequency protocols? Would it be age or maybe body fat percentage? Well, body fat does contribute to the estrogen burden. It definitely does. Not to some life-changing degree, but you want to be as lean as you can be. Discrepancies in how people respond to different dosing and frequency. I just think that, people might metabolize testosterone a lot better once it gets into the depot, and thus they can do daily injections, and also they don't require a lot of testosterone to provoke a response. They can do these little daily micro droplets, and that's enough testosterone for them. Yeah, other people need to inject 150, 200, just more testosterone at once. And maybe it's because their body is not metabolizing that test in the depot enough, or for other reasons, their body just needs more. Long-standing hypogonadism is, at least theoretically, one of the reasons that people tend to need more testosterone at once. But there are people that haven't had any of this shit that just do much better on a once a week injection of a lot of testosterone. So I think it's all those things. I've never tried injectable DHT because I have a ton of transdermal scrotal DHT. It's just an oil that works so good for me. It's insane. I mean, I'll start having hair loss within like 3 days if it's too high. That's how quick it works. So don't need to inject it. Vigorous Steve is on 1 billion milligrams. I know he's on DHT, so I'm curious to what happens with him. Curious about your thoughts, though. You're one of the first hormone dudes I trust, and I've been talking about DHT for a long time. I think it's amazing. I think this stuff is amazing. Too high, and it can crush your estradiol. It can make you feel like you've got like low estrogen, like an AI-like effect. So you've got to be really careful with it. Otherwise, though, I mean, Steve's already doesn't have hair, and he can have hair, but he just chooses to shave his head. So there's the hair loss thing, but as long as you still have enough estradiol, all it's going to do is make your erections fucking harder, your body look leaner and more vascular, and be a fucking super nootropic, and you'll feel about as masculine as a man can feel. It's really, really, really potent, man, what DHT does for you. So I haven't, I think I had watched last live stream. I watch every one of Steve's live streams, just not the whole thing. I'll go in and piecemeal it and scroll through. Generally 6 weeks is enough to see if your dose is good for you. Yeah. And if the frequency is good for you, 6 weeks is enough. Dan, thanks, brother. Thanks for the super chat, bro. I'll use that to re-up on the Canada dries. Brother. Double N. I'm already dosing tests. I'm on tier 2 for years, and I've seen in Gemini that my problem comes from the GABA part of my brain, and says that allopregnanolone could help me get that back. What problem, brother? Can't really help you. I haven't seen allopregnanolone, be life-changing for anyone, but you never know. Can't talk about that publicly on air. Steroid plotter says my serum concentration could be 4,000 with my current cycle, 100 milligrams TSC Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's 300 milligrams a week, and it thinks you're going to be at 4,000. I don't think so. I think on that you will probably be at like 2,000, 2,500, maybe max. 300 milligrams a week is not going to get you that high. 100 milligrams test C Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah. I mean, it can't possibly be compensating for the Masteron and the Primo, thinking that's going to raise your total test, because it's not. I think you'd be at 2,500, max 3,000. I don't think 4,000. Now, you got to push 450, 500 to reach that. Yeah. And usually even more for some people. So, nah, wouldn't think so. Some say prop is not ideal for your liver. Who? And why? Who? A lot of people say a lot of shit that is nonsense, nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense out there. And believe me, I'm gearing up to expose everybody. And it's going to be a fucking bad day for all of them. Bad day for everybody. Bad day for everybody. Not yet, though. Not yet. Not yet. I just care about when bullshit is being spewed out to the TRT community. I mean, I consider that community a very community that's close to me. So I don't like when people are spewing bullshit. When people are like so... what's the word? Like stubborn, that unable to change their opinions on things, or making super serious, straight up blanket statements. It's bad. It's bad. Worried about acne and larger spikes if you're going to do less frequent injections. Your only option is to try and see. Try and see. It's not less frequent injections that give you acne. It's major, major fluctuations, as well as your body not being used to test, like for a long period of time. Again, my acne went away, and now I have a big, large gap in between my injection frequency. It's 7 days. The acne is not any different. It's not any different. For me, what helped my acne was going on cycle, where I had a ton of it, and I got to like burn it out, and then going back down to sports TRT, then to TRT. I just didn't have it much anymore. All the guys running cycles, like over time, most of them, the body just learns to not make as much acne. So I wouldn't really be worried about that at all. If you're not dialed in where you are, make dialing in first and foremost and deal with the acne later. That said, boys, I'm going to end the stream. I got some stuff I got to do. I got to head to the gym first and foremost and get ready for the fights. Let's fucking go, Connor. We better win. We better win. Either way, I'm going to be so nervous. It's going to be a great fight either way. I'm glad he's coming back. I'm fucking nervous, bro. Wow, I'm nervous. Can't wait. Guys, content all this week. Shorts launching like just consistently. I hope you guys have been enjoying the continuous content, because it ain't going to stop, bro. I got a lot to say, and I'm excited about it. Description of this video has discount codes for pretty much every product. Digital products are 20% off. 3 and 6 month coaching now is 50% off. That's going to end probably within a week or two. We've booked a lot of those, and I've got to close it because I'll be overbooked. So keep that in mind. And brothers, I'll talk to you the next one.